It's like, I'm there. It is.
Mm.
Cool. Well, welcome everybody to what is this? Volume 4 of our Wednesday weekly trainings presented by your host, myself, Manny Renteria of One Up Solar. And today we have a very special guest, Earl Capule, who's joining us. He is the owner and founder of Lux Energy, and he's helped a lot of companies build structures and build some. So he is sales coach and all these other things. Why don't you tell us a little bit about what to do besides keeping a positive mind and positive vibes, Earl?
Yeah, for sure. So I've been in the solar industry for about 8 years now. Started knocking doors, eventually became sales manager, and then started my own company. The reason I did that is because I saw some things that were needed in the industry as far as more training, better training, more education on mindset, selling, doing the right thing, and really helping the customers out, adding a lot of value, especially in a more saturated market where customers are becoming more educated. You need to know a lot more than the customer does if you're going to be able to really help them out. Especially
That
when other people are selling the wrong way or in a bad way, you really need to step up your game. It's a lot easier when you're an actual solar energy expert.
Yep, yep, I agree. People enjoy honesty. I mean, a lot of sales reps, they fear being truthful about some things, and they fear they're going to lose a deal if this or that. But believe me, it goes a long way. Like we had an experience this morning. Lyle, who's in this call right now, I was on a call with him, coaching him through a sale. Um, this is his first deal, by the way, guys. Everybody, give him a hand. Round of
Nice.
applause. So we got his first deal. This is an older gentleman, probably up in his high. What was he? He was from the 1949, so that puts him right around 73 or 74 years old. So guy already he purchased solar in 2015, paid cash for it, and he doesn't know if his system is working because a company, which is not uncommon to see, went out of business, and now nobody's answering his calls, and now his utility bills are up to $3,500 a year again. And he's like, "I want more solar." Well, we jumped on a call with him. We kind of explained, "Look, listen, you may not need more solar. Maybe you just need half. Maybe half of your system is down. We don't know." I looked at his bill. He didn't have any negative months, meaning like no deficits. I mean, like if he's not accumulating any credit. So to me, either his system isn't working or he's using a lot of power. And so we were very straight up with him. We said, "Look, the first thing we're going to do when we go inspect your system is going to make sure it's working. Okay, we're going to do a full inspection on it. We're going to talk to Solar Edge. We're going to get a 2-year report, and we're going to report all the energy that's been coming out of the system and making sure that it's working. And if it's working or if it's not working, then we'll go ahead and tear up the contract, and you're off to the races. You can give us a tip if you want because we fix your system." But anyway, we managed to land a cash deal. He was okay with us being honest and upfront about it, and we gave him an option, to work with us, and he was just really excited that we were able to go out there and look at his system because he said he tried calling a bunch of different companies and nobody would. So honesty prevails, a positive mindset. We got his first deal. The gentleman is super happy and he's expecting his new solar panels. So um, I'm just going to go ahead and start off the presentation. This is loan versus lease and which to sell when. Now, both of us know, Earl, that in California, you really cannot be too biased about what products are out there, right? I know a lot of people make the mistake of like, I don't like this. I don't like leases. I only sell purchases. I only sell purchases, or I only sell leases. And it's like, why? I can tell you how many times I've lost a deal because I didn't pitch one or the other, or I didn't tell them that they had an option. Then somebody else came and knocked the door and just snacked it from me, right? Because I'm just going in there trying to sell one thing, and that's all I know. So selling the one thing that you know is the first mistake you can make in learning solar sales. So what we're here to do today is we're here to help you, educate you on key terms, key words to use, and how to pitch both of these things. So I'll hand it off to you, Earl. I'm going to move on over to the next slide.
Sure.
All right.
So currently, the industry is seeing exponential growth in all facets of financing. This includes different options of either buying solar panels or buying the energy that's produced by the solar panels. It's important to note that not all utility companies allow buying power from a third party power company that's not directly affiliated with them. This means that you may not be able to offer a lease or a PPA option to all your customers. Not only that, but also the economics may not make a lot of sense.
So on this first paragraph, what does this mean to you?
So, for example, here in California or San Diego, the rate for electricity is, anywhere from 39 cents up to 60 cents per kilowatt hour. So, selling energy to a homeowner is a much better deal than them buying it from the utility company because we can save them tons of money. And it's allowed to happen there because we have the utility allows it here. But there are other markets where for many reasons, whether the utility company just doesn't want it to happen, they don't have the infrastructure, or energy rates are really low there, then a lease or a power purchase agreement where they're buying power at a certain price doesn't make sense not only for the customer, but also the company, the third party company that is leasing or selling the power to the homeowner at such a low price. It doesn't make sense for them as well. And there's other
Correct.
incentives. Yeah.
Exactly. So this when I get asked this question when I'm doing like when I call a lead that came in from Facebook or something, and the first question is, what are you selling? Like what do you sell? Do you sell panels, or are you doing the lease? We're like, I don't. Well, it just really depends on what you want. You can either buy power or you can buy panels that produce power. What's the difference? Either way, you're going to get the power. The power looks the same to the company, to the house. So the electric company and the house treat the power exactly the same. Doesn't matter where it's coming from. The financing is behind the meter. So it's a whole different animal when you look at financing. Again, the home treats the energy exactly the same, and so does the utility. Now there might be some some renewable energy credits that customers can be available for, but we'll get into that later. So, in a nutshell, lease versus loan, this is exactly what it is. So, not all utility companies will allow you to buy power from them, or will allow you or allow their customers to buy power from other companies. All right, ownership investment plan. I like to call it an ownership investment plan rather than loan or buying a system. Like this sounds a lot more attractive. It strikes a chord with homeowners, because homeowners at the end of the day, they are investors. Okay, so when you talk to them on that level, like more on the level of like say a financial advisor, then I think they tend to open up a little bit more. What do you think?
Yeah, we our guys use that on the doors a lot. We talk to people about how you own your home, right? You don't rent it. Why do you own your home? And we get them to talk about the benefits of owning their home versus renting it. Then eventually we get into owning their power versus renting it from the utility.
Okay, so investment plan. What is it, and when is it a better option? So some of the pros that we run into with loans or investment plans. Go ahead and take it away here.
Sure. So number one, financial independence from power companies, including solar, building energy equity, immediate and long-term savings, including adding to your investment portfolio a bankable solution with a higher than average return, and federal, state, and other financial incentives available to solar investors. So that's going to be based from state to state, but there's the federal tax credit still available. So I always tell people, you pay taxes, right? Well, did you know there's a federal tax credit for people that invest in solar to help for here in California to help California hit their goal. You're rewarded. You get some of your tax money back, and so they're going to help you go solar. Building equity, tons of studies out there that show homes with solar can sell for more and become more valuable because now it produces its own energy. And I talk to realtors all the time, and some of them say yes, some of them say no. But the majority of them say yes, it's more attractive, and I get a lot more buyers looking into the homes with solar than without, especially here in a place where electricity rates are continuously going up. Um, and then the return, yeah, like when you compare it to the utility company over a long span of time, the return is amazing. Whether you finance it over 25 years, pay cash, but yeah, on a loan, it's a great investment. I've had CPAs run the numbers multiple times, and it always makes sense. And so these people run numbers all the time, and they tell us every single CPA has told me the same thing. If a homeowner is paying a certain amount, they should have solar, right? Especially with the incentives available.
That's a great tip. I mean, if you guys ever or have any friends or anybody that you know that's a financial advisor, you should talk to them and have them run the numbers on their house and say, hey, look, do me a favor, can you run some numbers for me? And I want to show you something for your home. Maybe you'll sell them. I've sold financial advisors before, and they love it, and they become great referral partners. Why? Because now they put this investment into their portfolio and offer it to customers, and it's a big bang, right? So just just off the top of my head, um, two things that stand out to me is the internal rate of return, right? Internal rate of return. What does that mean? That's just a percentage of return. So if any of you guys ever bought stocks or Bitcoin or whatever other investments you might make, even if you put money in a savings account and it makes you earns you a whopping 1% a year. So solar's rate of return is going to be right around 20 to 22%, even with a loan, guys. Specifically, obviously in California, that might be lower in other states, say 10 to 15%. But even at that, like I bought Tesla stock. I came in and bought Tesla stock at not the best rate, and I'm still like I'm over 100% return on it. But I mean, this isn't a stock, but it's a very very safe one. Why? Why is it a safe investment? Can anybody think about why is this such a safe investment? It's not volatile. Well, because it's on your home, right? It's on your home that's going to be, that you own, and you're like, the market isn't going to crash. Like the utility companies aren't going to all of a sudden like give everybody a great deal on power. Like that's not going to happen. So this is a really safe investment. It's going to go on your home. It's going to build energy equity. Like I use that word in every single pitch because it opens up a whole different like train of thought. When you mention equity, they're like, ooh, I like equity, you know, tell me more. So energy equity, what is energy equity? Well, I mean, your solar system, specifically if it's a SunPower system, for example, not to, throw names out there, but I love SunPower. It's just recognized in the real estate industry as being like, one of the more valuable systems that hold its value. And then there's also the Pearl certification. Have you ever used the Pearl certification or heard of it, Earl?
I haven't, no.
So the Pearl certification is it's a third party, um, I guess, certification entity. It's recognized by the real estate industry, and so they have realtors inside of the Pearl, whatever. So as some of the contractors that we work with, some of the EPCs that we work with nationwide have access to the Pearl certification, and so when you put the Pearl certification on there, it basically guarantees energy equity on your home. So a lot of times you'll run into pitching a deal to a real estate agent even, and they're like, oh no, solar doesn't build it, you can't, well, you're doing something wrong, man, like seriously. But maybe the Pearl certification can help, but that's also available in the industry. We'll talk about more about the Pearl certification on another occasion, because we have some other third party trinkets that we like to use to sell better deals, but that's one of them. Anything else you want to expand on this?
No, I mean, sometimes people are paying like $100 a month, and I tell them, right now the $100 is just disappearing every month, going to the utility company into their pocket, right, right, and you're increasing their stock. What if I told you you could take that same $100 and put it into the solar system, and now it's going into your home? Now you're keeping the money, right? Like it doesn't really matter if you're saving money or not, even though we can save you money. But even if it's just the same, it's way more valuable. Your money is way more valuable if you're putting it into your home than giving it away to another company.
Exactly. I've never actually thought about that when you're actually investing in the utility company every time you pay that bill. That's insane. But you don't get a return
You
on
don't
it. So
get you don't get stocks or anything. No, they don't
that's
give you
such a
anything.
bad return.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's a good one. I'm gonna write that one down. Or actually, I already have it in my head. So that'll be on my next pitch. All right, what are some of the cons? Obviously, guys, you have to bring out the cons. Bring them out. Bring out all the cons. Like, please, the more you bring out cons, the less questions you're going to have later on down the road when you got that customer says, I want to think about it. Because they're going to start thinking about cons if you don't tell them about them. Right. And when they come up and you didn't address that con, that's just it's gonna put a hard stop on their decision making. So cons. Take it away.
All right. May require further financial analysis. Um, Aggregate debt to income ratio. Tax incentives are not a guarantee of payment. Most finance options will incur long-term interest rates and or dealer fees. So the first one, you have to show documents of income sometimes. You could just like taking out a loan for something else. It may require, further research on the homeowner to make sure they qualify for it. So t- compared to a lease, could be a little bit harder to qualify for. Um, oh, it disappeared. Okay. Aggregate debt to income ratio. So sometimes homeowners, they want to keep their debt low, or they want to buy another home, or maybe buy another car, or just other things in the future. This could and will affect the debt to income ratio. So I've had homeowners where they're like, oh yeah, I'm going to buy another house soon. Is this going to affect my debt to income ratio? Yes, it will. Tax incentives are not a guarantee. So older people that are retired don't pay federal taxes. They're probably not going to get that federal tax incentive. Depending on what state they're in, it still makes sense without the tax incentive. But in other states, it's necessary to show savings, and it's very beneficial, helps a lot. So that's kind of when we would not push, but recommend a different program if they can't even get those tax incentives. So it's not guaranteed. Some reps are guaranteeing that low payment and that federal tax credit and all that money coming back next year. It's not guaranteed. And then there's interest rates and dealer fees. So the interest rates, what I've found is the lower the interest rate, the higher the dealer fee. Meaning the bank that you're financing the solar system with, they will give super low interest rates, but they'll just charge you to have that interest rate up front and put it into the loan. And we'll get to that part, but it's just, or you can get a high interest rate, no dealer fee, or really low finance charge on your loan. But those are the cons that you need to let people know about when they're doing loan.
Now, I wanted to kind of touch on some of this a little bit. If Earl, if I were to tell you, I'm number two, right? Say, hey, I really like the solar plan, but I don't want a $70,000 loan on my credit. Like last time I tried to buy a home, they were giving me shit for a $10,000, you know, whatever loan on my, and I had to pay it down in order to get a bit. So some people are like, no, I don't want to buy solar because 70 grand. I mean, that's a big ticket item on your credit report. That could really well put you in the higher, like 60 or 70% DTI ratio. And you won't get approved for anything, and you'll get shitty interest rates for like a new Tesla.
Yeah.
So you got people like that. What would you do if they were like, nah, if they had that concern? What's your next step?
I would pitch a PPA. I could pitch a PPA. Tell them, hey, look, just buy the energy from the solar system. You're still going to save money. Payments are going to be very similar, but now you don't have to worry about all this responsibility of the financial responsibility of it being, showing up on your debt, and all those other, yeah, interest rate and all
Exactly.
that. It's a little simpler way to sell solar in some cases.
And that's why I put these on here because you guys can actually use this during a pitch. You can pull up this and say, hey, look, here are some cons. And if they say, oh, you know what, you're right, I might want to do this. Well, okay, we'll get to that because we can also do leases. We're going to do lease pros and cons as well, and we'll see which one's a better fit for you. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that you list out the pros and cons of each because they're going to just come and ask you these things. It's like if you forget to mention these things, they're just going to come and ask you, and their questions are going to be longer. And you may get caught off guard, not even knowing how to answer them, and that's not good. So yeah, so these are the cons. They're not terrible, but hey, just it's worth knowing. Like there's obviously um, there's more. Oh wait, I forgot to mention the one about the 18-month buy down period. But anyway, we can touch on that later. But I guess that goes in with interest rates and dealer fees anyway.
Mm.
All right, so types of purchase options. There are many types of purchase options. At least there are three that we know of, and those are the ones we're going to talk about. So the first one is the king, cash. So go ahead.
Rapid path to ROI. So, I mean, I meet some people and they're like, which is the best way? Which way would you do it, or which is the best way to do it? And I tell them it depends because some people are looking for different things. If you're looking for ROI, the best return on your investment, it's going to be cash. It's always going to be cash. And so I've ran the numbers. So here in San Diego, I can tell people, look, your ROI, you're looking at like 5 to 7 years, depending on the cost of your system and everything, but it's very short. And so it's a great return. And so cash is definitely will get you your money back quick, depending on the market. Now, other places, electricity is cheaper. Maybe it's 10 to 15 years, a little bit longer. But it's faster than a loan, and it's a better investment.
Heck yeah, it is. Um, what about the levelized cost of energy?
Oh
I
yeah, I
love
mean,
I love using that, man. That's like my go-to. Those are my guns right there.
yeah, I mean, so a lot of times in solar, we're showing people cost of energy over 25 years because that's what panels are warranted, and a lot of the loans are for 25 years, the leases and everything. So if you were to sell somebody a system cash, you can show them their cost of energy over 25 years, their price per kilowatt hour, and then also with the the system when you pay cash, what is it over 25 years? I mean, sometimes you're talking 6 cents a kilowatt hour, 7 cents a kilowatt hour. It's much lower than what you're paying anywhere. I mean, you can't find a price per kilowatt hour like that anywhere else.
Here's my take on on people in the waiting room. Uh, no, my take on selling anything, whether it's cash, whether it's loan, lease, PPA, prepaid lease, whatever. The easiest way for me to transmit a message to a customer, and have them like kind of understand what's a better fit for them, is to just translate everything into cost per kilowatt hour,
Mhm.
because it's really hard for somebody to say, well, I have or to understand, like, oh, I have a $300 or $400 bill, and I mean, my new bill is going to be 300, but it's going to cost me $70,000. I mean,
Yeah.
so then you have to go and show them, well, if you don't do that, then you're going to, over time, you're going to pay, 80,000, or actually like upwards of 150,000 with inflation and all that. And it's just like they're just over there racking their brain, like, wait, but that's in 25 years, and the cost of the dollar today, it's way too much for them to think about. Now, if you just switch it all up and go to their electric bill first, show them how much they pay for power, 39 cents, 40 cents, 60 cents, you know, versus 8 or 9 cents, which would be the lowest levelized cost of energy with a cash deal. I mean, you can get lower with a prepaid PPO, which we'll talk about that in a sec, and I'll tell you guys why. But this would be like comparing 7 cents to 40 cents. Like, that's it. What else do you need to know? This is, you know what I mean? Like, this is it. 40 cents, 7 cents. Which one's better? take it or leave it, you know? So it's easier to sell that rather than like, oh yeah, a $40,000 cash deal. You know, you're going to recover it in 7 years. And they're like, what math, too much.
Yep.
All right. So a finance deal. This is the most common, obviously, because not all of us have, you know, a shit ton of cash just laying around to throw it on your roof and like think about it later, right? But some people do. But in any event, right now the financing in solar is the best it has ever been. You know, I'm not the type of person that worries about dealer fees at all because hey, you know what? You may get tacked with 25% dealer fees, but at the end of the day, the federal government's going to give you 26% back on those dealer fees, and then over term, you're not going to pay interest. So let's talk about financing.
Loan and installment contract, retail installment contract difference, not much, just where it comes from.
Okay. Actually, if you haven't heard of the Rick, have you heard of the Rick Earl?
I haven't.
Okay, so this is where this is an in-house financing
Mm-hmm.
term, right? So SunPower has recently switched over, and they switched back to loans. Long story, but they started doing this thing where it's like, you know what? We're just not going to work with banks, and we're going to finance this on our own. We're going to call it a retail installment contract, not a loan, right? Why? I don't know, because they're not a financial institution, but they're lending people money, so it's like it's a retail installment contract. So it means you're paying installments on the service that you're acquiring. So that's why they call it a RIC. But other than that, it's also AKA a loan. So there's not a lot of difference between those two, but there will be these two differences. Um, so with loans, we're dealing with dealer fees, interest rates, and terms. So I'll let Earl kind of explain, what these things are. Ooh, I love that image. That's about
Yeah.
how much money I have in my pocket right now.
Yeah, so the dealer fees are like it's a buy down fees, like I was saying, a finance charge. Um, Finance companies will have different types of rates, and depending on which rate you want to present to the customer, customers probably focused on the interest rate. Then you can buy it down, which would essentially cost the customer a little more, and this makes the total cost go up a little bit. Um, so yeah, a lot of people they're like, oh, the real estate the rates are down, so like, I can buy a house at a cheaper rate. And when they see different, higher rates, 399 or 499s, and so a lot of these solar loan banks are coming in at 0.99, 1.49, 1.99, but you pay 25%, 29% to buy it down. But it doesn't matter. The customer doesn't care. They're like, I like that 1.49 better. I don't want to pay a lot of interest. So yeah, I mean, I think it is a good thing. Helps lower the payments. That's another big deal for homeowners. Is like, I want the lowest payment. There's a lot of people they're more focused on payment. So then it's a good thing to have these buy downs where you can just present the lowest payment versus lowest total cost. Some people are focused on the total cost. They're like, oh, that's a big difference, or that's a high number. No worries, we can switch it up, use a different term, and you have a high interest rate. But look, your total cost is like $5,000 lower or $6,000 lower.
Over term. Yep.
Right.
So exactly. I mean, all it does is at the end of the day, we're installers, EPCs, we're getting paid the same, and so here's a trick. I mean, here's something that most lenders don't like it when you mention these fees to customers. They just don't want you talking about it, right? I don't know why. But I guess it's just one of those things, right? Where it's like I like to be a little bit more transparent about things and talk to people because it is confusing. I've had people that are just way too confused with like, what the hell's a dealer fee? No, 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 no. I'm too confused. You're scamming me. Like, dude, it's not there. It's not like that. I'm trying to help you understand. Like, okay, picture this. You have a $300 payment with a high interest. Let me show you the interest tables. This is an example from obviously one of the more popular lenders in the industry. If we scroll down here, you can see we have a 25-year 799 down at the bottom there with zero dealer fees. That means that your contract amount is going to go from 30,000 to 20,000, right? In comparison to a 25-year loan with a 149 at 30%, the loan amount will be 30,000. But what's going to happen with that payment? One payment's going to be $350 and the other one's going to be, 175. So what do? You take that payment, multiply it times 300 months, and then, you figure out, okay, well, at the end of 25 years, which one's going to pay more? Obviously, it's going to be the one with the higher interest rate. So what does it matter if you're paying more and you're not paying it? You're just signing a piece of paper that says, I promise to pay this much over this much time. And at the end of the time, then I'm going to pay much less with this one. So who cares if the contract amount is less today, right? Because at least the federal government's going to give you a kickback for doing that anyway. So here you go. And then the dollar today, might be worth less than it is in 25 years. So, why would you want to pay 8% interest at year 25 when that $300 payment might actually be $600 today? So there you go. But then there's also people that are like, you know what? I'm not going to finance this for 25 years though. John, you have a question? Just give me a sec while I finish this one. So people might say, you know what? I don't like being in debt. I'm actually going to get, big love. My uncle's going to die and I'm going to inherit his money next year. So I'm just going to pay it off. And I don't want to pay off 30 grand. I want to pay off 20. Perfect. Well, then do this one, suck it up for a year, and have a high interest rate for a year, and then or refinance your house, man, take the money out of your equity and pay it off. And you're not going to have any penalties, right? So this is something like you want to use the higher interest rate for folks um, that have quick money, that have access to quick money, or they're going to refinance and pull money out, or you got that person that's like, oh yeah, I'm going to wait till I refi. What for? Just go ahead and do it now, and then cash out and pay off the loan. It's going to be free anyway. You're not going to make any payments until the thing is done, and it's not going to affect your credit until the system is installed. So you got about 60 days to do your refi, and then once you cash out, we'll pay off the loan, and we're all done. We're all good. But at least we can get going on your project. Go ahead, John.
Actually, I had a few questions. One is, and maybe you already kind of addressed this, but do you even bring up dealer fees? Like I said, right out of the gate, because yeah, typically I
No,
don't unless the customer does. And then also, are there any zero APRs with higher dealer fees? Because like I said, I used to work in the auto industry, and there are certain religions that say that they don't believe in paying interest. So effectively, what we've done is similar to a dealer fee, you buy down the interest rate where it's effectively zero, and then they just pay that out of pocket. And
Earl, you want to answer his questions? I think the first one.
The first one, yeah, I don't talk about it unless it comes up, and it usually it rarely comes up with only with those people that are really questioning the higher number or the interest rate, and they really want to get into it, and then I bring it up. But
like I said, I typically don't.
yeah,
Yeah.
typically no. And then the 0% interest, I haven't seen too many programs or companies that offer them. I know there are companies that do offer them. There's some, it's a lot of times it's going to end up being a really short term, like 5 years or 2 years, or I've seen 1 year, same as cash, but I haven't seen like a 25 year 0% interest. There is one company I saw it, but it's solar and batteries, 0% interest. So yeah, it just kind of depends. You have to kind of look for those companies. Sometimes there are companies that offer that.
Yeah, SunGage has a 25-year zero. No battery required. SunPower has a 20-year zero with a battery, and so does Sonova. So there are zero interest, but I found that the zero interest loan sounds a little too good to be true for people.
Yeah,
And the dealer fee is insane. But you can change the whole narrative and say, hey, look, just borrow the money. You're not going to pay any interest over 25 years. No interest. If you and it's not like a credit card. You get a credit card to pay off another credit card, and they give you 12 months to pay it off. And like, dude, I'm going to give you 25 years, no interest, no penalties. Just pay it off whenever you want. No interest.
That was the other.
Go ahead.
That was the other thing I was going to bring up. And in saying all of this too, that would be another way that you could approach the dealer fee, is that these are all simple interest loans. So, you could pay it off early and save yourself some of these fees anyway. or at least the interest.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's buyers for everything, and it's just this is where it gets interesting. You just have to read your customer and jive with them. Once you get a few of these under your belt and stuff like that, then you'll kind of start knowing where the conversation is going. So you don't want to talk to a financial advisor, about about stuff that he's an expert on, right? Just things like that. You have your hand up, John? Oh, all right. Let's move on to the next one. Now, this one is super cool. I think it's one of the better, options to buy solar out there, but it's very, very rarely used. What are your thoughts, Earl?
Yeah, I've heard people do it. I've never done it myself, but I mean, it does make a lot of sense, especially in recent times where a lot of people are doing refis. Um, it's because it's such a great investment, and they're doing that. Might as well do that instead of something else that's not going to really add value to their home.
So the pros and cons of doing a cash out refi. What are some of the cons that you can think of?
Um, that I can think of.
Not a lot.
No, not really.
There is one that comes to
Mm,
mind, and that's the wait. That just means you have to wait for them to do the whole process. And,
yeah,
it
right.
might take 30 to 45
Yeah,
days to get that, if they get it at all.
right.
Now, it becomes kind of a thing. It's like, all right, if you get a customer that's like, oh, I don't want to do solar right now. I'm interested, but I don't want to do it because I want to refinance first. All right. Well, hey, you know what? You should do a cash out refi. What's that? Well, I can give you a cash deal, which is typically 20% lower than finance deal. Because then you can get into dealer fees if you want to, or you can just say, hey, if you pay me cash, I'll give you a fat discount. That's it. Leave it at that. And if you pay me cash, then then you can go and get cash from your equity. Talk to your mortgage guy. Tell them you need like 15,000 to invest in solar. You know, and then I'll wait for you. In fact, we can sign the cash contract now. We'll get started on the plans and permits. All I need is $1,000. We'll have the permits ready. When you're ready to pull that refi, and you have the cash in hand, we'll come and slap the panels on the roof the next day because we'll have the permits. So that's one way to get ahead of the process. Is like don't necessarily have them wait till they refi and they're like, but I got a better idea for you. How about we don't wait? How about we just do this now? I'll take a check and I'll go. If you want me to sit on the check, I can do that for a couple of weeks. I don't know how you're feeling about that, but at least gives me the edge to go and get started because everybody and their mom is trying to get solar right now. And if you wait till the summertime, you're not going to get installed till the year 2023. I can guarantee you that. So don't wait. All right. So the cash out refi, the benefits to that, obviously, no dealer fees, and it's rolled into the mortgage payment. And they have a super low interest rate. I mean, super low, 2, 3%. I don't know what they're going to be, but it's better than conventional 7.99. That's pretty damn high, dude. So it's much better to get a mortgage loan to finance your solar than it is to get a credit union, loan or whatever, because that's just another ding on your credit. It's nothing. This is one way to avoid that DTI thing that we were talking about when talking about cash financing. People usually have equity, and so that's kind of if you can get them to dig out equity, give you $1,000 and sign a cash deal, you're gold. You got the job secured, and yeah, they're not going anywhere. You want to touch on this?
Yeah. So cons: delayed approval, may not qualify or have equity. Deal might get cold. Yeah. Um, Time kills a lot of deals. So longer you wait, the less likely they're going to do it. Um, so here's some keywords when selling a purchase to someone.
Hey, I gotta give it up for Anna here. These designs are fucking killer, dude. Look at these slides. I like it. I don't know. This is me. Um, keywords. Keywords. You use keywords, right? I have my go-to keywords. Like I should. I mean, you can even like write them down on your wrist and like just you remember to use them because because they help you get deals. Like people, you need to strike a chord to people sometimes, and this is why
Yeah.
we put up the keywords to selling a purchase. Again, we talked about this one earlier. I don't think we need to touch on it some more unless anybody has questions about energy equity. This one, though, I feel like we still have to explain it. What do you think? So
Yeah.
the levelized cost of energy is basically the cost per kilowatt hour, like we mentioned before, over the life of the system, including interests minus the tax benefits. So it's basically the net cost of power over 25 years, no matter when your return on investment is. This is over 25 years. This is what you're going to buy power for over the next 25 years. Bam, right? This many cents. That's your levelized cost of energy. Why is it levelized? Because it's levelized over 25 years, and the full cost is taking into account incentives, benefits, interests, and everything else. And then the interest rate buy down. We just talked about that earlier as well. But it's a key word. You still wanna mention that it's an interest rate buy down. If you tell a customer, "Oh, we have to pay dealer fees," they're gonna be like, "What the fuck is?" They don't know what the heck that is. If you explain it, what an interest rate buy down actually means, then they're like, "Oh, okay, I know. I don't want to pay high interest. Let's go with the other one." So, and then return on investment expressed in years. So 4 to 5, 4 to 6 on a cash deal, 8 to 7 on a loan. I don't know, in other parts of the country where the power is cheaper, the return on investment might be 9 to 12 years, just depending, right? So learn these things in our proposals. I think we have one somewhere around here. We actually show all of these details, and everything that you're seeing here, like it is on this presentation, it's all kind of set up in a way that you can pitch this. It's an Aurora design. If all of you or most of you don't know what that is, it's a PDF. It's the old school way of selling a system, but it gives a lot of detail, and you can just go through it and like strike up keywords and strike conversations. Like we curated this proposal template ourselves with these strategies in mind. Like selling so many deals, like we already know like what's extra. Well, we don't really want to talk about how many trees you're going to plant. At least not yet. That's going to be at the end, right? But there's a lot of other numbers and figures on proposals sometimes that are just like there's just a lot of noise, and just get to the point, show them what it is, the meat and the bones, and then we can get through it. Third party owned systems. I'm gonna let you take it away on this one, and I'm gonna mute myself now because I talk too much. I had too much coffee, dude. I'm sorry.
Sure. So I started out in solar selling third-party owned systems. So we did power purchase agreements, and I did that for the first year or two selling solar out here. And when people don't fully understand what solar is yet, or how to buy it, or the cost of it, and how much it saves them money, most people are thinking expensive. It just costs a lot. And so what's helpful with these type of programs is you can approach it to help people understand something like they already understand that they buy electricity from a utility company. So when you're pitching a third party ownership program, it's kind of like just telling them, hey, you pay the utility company $100 a month right now, right? So essentially, all we're doing is looking for homes that qualify to be on a program like this, where you can actually be your own producer of your own energy. We'll actually provide the equipment. We'll pay for the permits and all that, and we'll produce power on your roof, and then you get to buy your power from your rooftop instead of out of state or wherever you're getting your power from now. And so by doing that, it's much more efficient, it's better for the environment, and it's cheaper for you to get it right on site. Does that make sense? And so that helps a lot, and they understand that. They're not thinking 20, 30, 40, $50,000. They're just thinking, oh, cool, just switch power companies, and this power company produces power on my roof. Cool, I like that.
Here's a big fat tip for you guys, and this works every time to help people understand what they're getting themselves into or what you're pitching. Go to any utility bill in California. I'm talking about the big three: SDG&E, Edison, and PG&E. If you're not spending your marketing dollars on these utilities right now, you're missing out, man, because there's a lot of margin and there's a fat, juicy deals everywhere right now because their margins are so high. Now, when you go to page 3, I'm just going to use SDG and E as an example. Page 3, on the right-hand side, you've got a summary of energy charges. What does that mean? There's a big, fat list of fees and tariffs and charges and all that crap. The biggest 3 charges for electricity are generation, transmission, distribution. Those 3 account for about 90% of the electric bill. Now, that I zoom in on that little piece right there, on that little piece of utility bill, and this is where I'm like, okay, you see, this is where it gets interesting. Do you see these 3 charges? Generation. Now, this is what they charge SDG&E to generate energy at a power plant. This is the rate that you should be paying for power if you had a power plant at your house, but you don't. So you have to transmit that, you have to distribute it, it has to go through tolls. We don't get our power from San Diego anymore. We have to get that shit from Texas or wherever it comes from, Mexico. So as it makes its way down to San Diego, it hits every damn substation on the way over there. Bam, 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 bam. And all these are distribution and transmission charges. So by the time it gets to you, you look on the utility bill, and if this customer's bill is $300, they're going to see $100 in distribution and $100 in transmission. Like, what the heck is that? Yeah, that's what you pay because you don't have a power plant at your house or nearby. Now, if you had a power plant at your house, we could get you to pay that much. Bam, you just sold a PPA because you basically stripped down all those transmission and distribution fees and you stuck a power plant on the roof. Now you're buying power from your rooftop. Just trickles on down to your house. And that's what Earl was talking about. And that right there is the most powerful move you can use to sell a PPA, in my experience. Because then you convert their utility bill into kilowatt hours, and then you get their kilowatt hour rate, and guess what? It's upwards of 30 cents or more. And then you sell them a PPA at 15 cents, and you made a bunch of money doing it. Okay? And you save them money, and there's no loan, there's no none of that. So that's one way to sell a PPA.
Yep, for sure.
Some of the pros. Let's talk about pros because there are lots of pros to PPAs and leases.
Yeah. So no out-of-pocket cost, doesn't cost them anything to get started. Um, Guaranteed savings. So a lot of these TPO companies, they require to see savings on year one. So you're saving them money. Um, doesn't affect the DTI, debt to income ratio, or credit reporting. So that's a big one I use on the doors as well. This doesn't affect you in any way. You're just kind of changing power companies. In most cases, we will not put a lien on the home. That's true as well. Tax credit automatically applied. So the company that's putting it up is taking it, but they take it into account when they're giving you your pricing. Prepaid or monthly options available. So they can prepay the whole thing. A lot of people, yeah, we like number 7 says, we call it the worry free program, where you don't have to worry about anything. We're going to take care of everything just the way SDG&E does it, but it's cheaper and much better for the environment, right? And then fixed rate and predictable inflation. So a lot of key things that trigger people to see the benefit of it, as far as like safety, protection, peace of mind, knowing exactly what they're going to pay, how much, if it goes up, how much it's going to go up. It's guaranteed. But yeah, they love all of this, especially the people that are a little bit older that can't even get the tax credit. But even younger people too. They're just like, no, I want to keep my options open for buying things, remodels, and all that. So this seems like the better program for me.
Definitely, yeah. So these are all even like number 8 is set up for you to be able to sell a PPA with an escalator. Now, an escalator is basically a fixed rate protection plan. Ah, you know, that's how you sell an escalator. It's a
Yeah.
fixed rate protection plan. What does
Hmm.
that mean? That currently, I mean, this year alone, how much did SDG&E raise their rates? Like it was insane,
Right.
upwards of like 8% or
Yep.
12 even. And
Right.
and right now the national inflation average is 12%, and anything is insane. So you can protect yourself from that 12% or 10 or 8 or 5 by doing a 2.9% rate escalator. That's it. So it's like here's what I like to use this analogy. Look, if you got $100 payment, your payment's going to go up a couple bucks. That's like a gallon of milk. Can you afford a gallon of milk? Yeah, it's not a big deal. Cool. So it's obviously more than a gallon of milk, but it's just $2. Like
Yeah.
even milk is $5 now. 10. I don't know shit. How much is milk? Just
Yeah.
as much as a Big Mac, probably.
Yeah, the cool thing about
Uh,
the escalator one, I like showing people like a spreadsheet, and I'll show them this is what you're paying now. This is where your rate starts, which is a lot lower than what you're paying now. Let's see how long it will take at this 2.9 for you to get to where you're at now. And then we go all the way down, and sometimes it takes up to 18 years before they even pay what they're paying today. And so now that kind of, uh, you know, that makes
yeah.
the 2.9 valid. They're like, oh, that's not even a lot. Yeah, it's
It,
going to take you 18 years.
yeah, this is what other people say. Oh, not even going to be around by then. So great.
Yeah,
Sign me up.
yeah,
Let's do it.
yeah, exactly.
All right. So those are the pros. Now, some of the cons. We obviously have to have cons. And leases and loans tend to have a lot of stigma attached to them. And a lot of this has to do with going back here. I wanted to just really quickly touch on the lien, the number 4. So it's not necessarily a lien, or what is it? It's what is it?
So, so UCC one filing.
So
Um,
UCC1 filing, that's on the equipment, not on the house, right?
right, right.
So, it's not necessarily a lien. Like anybody that's refinance, this is where they run into a little bit of trouble when they're refinancing or selling, and they're like, "Oh, there's a lien." No, 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 relax, man. Just gotta call Sunrun or gotta call them, and just lift it up. It's just a UCC1 filing on the equipment. Why is there a lien on the equipment? Because you're not paying anything out of pocket for this thing. You're renting the equipment. It's on your roof. And hey, if you happen to foreclose on your home and run away with panels, like, come on, there's got to be some sort of like anchor there. So I mean, it's a soft lien. Let's just call it a soft lien. A UCC filing is the technical term for it, but
Yeah.
it's not on the house. It's on the equipment, but it will show up in some cases. And so, you know, but even nowadays, I think Sunrun got rid of the UCC1, and so did Sonova. I don't know if SunPower still has it, but that's why I said in some cases. I'm just not exactly sure right now. We'll talk about that later. Cons. All right, now some of the cons.
Cons. New buyers may need to qualify to assume the remainder of the agreement. Um, so in some cases, when they're selling their home, the buyer coming in needs to have their credit run and make sure they can get qualified for the program. But sometimes so the person might be using a specific program to buy the home. Um, you know, and they have a low credit score or whatever. But in most cases, they'll qualify because it only requires like a 650. And so I usually tell people if they have a 650 or if they're buying your home, they should have a 650. But there are some instances where they don't. Customers will not receive tax credit incentive in their tax return. So because the company that's installing it owns the system, they get the incentive. Not all utilities allow third parties to sell power to their customers. Payment may be higher compared to a loan, which is true. Customers' energy payment may increase every year if there's an escalator. Um, yeah, so those are things you mentioned to people, especially if maybe like that last one. Sometimes if I'm pitching a loan, they sat with a Sunrun or another company pitching a lease or PPA. I would mention that is there an escalator? Did you check if there's an escalator? Because a lot of times people will say your bill will be fixed for 25 years and they're selling you one with an escalator and not even mention anything. And next year comes and your bill got a little bit higher. Um, but yeah, and then with the PPAs, the payments can be higher.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to do a welcome call with a third party company, and these things will come up. So if you forget to mention about the escalator, it'll kill your deal because they're going to be like, "Well, wait, nobody said that," and that's just, oh yeah, your payment's going to increase to about $300. So it might be like you lost the deal there. So be sure that you're transparent about these things, and you won't have any trouble if you explain it. Like, oh yeah, look, you're buying energy, right? You have to pay inflation. It's like anything. It's a commodity. you're going to pay inflation to pay the toll road. You're going to pay inflation to to do pretty much anything right now. Taxes, like going to school, like everything is inflation. So you're buying energy, but the cool thing is that you're fixing the inflation,
Mhm.
and it's predictable. So now you know. So
Right.
you're not going to get caught off guard one day when it's like, oh shit, why is my bill like $300 this time? I
Right.
didn't even use it. Somebody stealing my power. Like I've gotten that before. Where like I think somebody's like stealing my power. It's like, no, man. Sadly, it's not that. It's your trusty utility company, man. They're just getting you. They're getting you pretty hard, and yeah, you have nowhere to go. Types. So third party owned systems. There's different types. Now there's a PPA. That obviously stands for Power Purchase Agreement, and it's an agreement to buy power at a certain rate. That's simple. Um, I like to use the term PPA with customers rather than a lease. I don't know why. It's just I figure a lease, and it's linked to the auto industry, that a lease has a stigma attached to it. Where I wouldn't lease anything. Like, oh, I'd buy everything. Like, I don't know. I think people relate it too much to a car lease, and car
Hmm.
leases are just different because a car lease can run out in 3 years, and then you have the option to buy, and your purchase price is crazy. Or if you go over the miles, and they get you, and like that's why there's a lot of like stigma behind leases. So it's just a different animal. Agreement to buy power at a set rate. The payment may vary every month depending on the power production of that month. So this is interesting. I don't know that there's a lot of PPAs out there that still do this. I know Vivint used to do it. When you sold them a price per kilowatt hour on the contract, it just has a price per kilowatt hour. It doesn't have a payment. There's no payment, like because you're not selling a payment. You're selling a rate, right? Remember, we translate the utility rate to the third party owned or PPA rate, and it's 15 cents. You're no longer paying 40 cents. You're paying 15 cents now for 25 years with a 2.9. You're sold. How much is it? Nothing. How much am I going to pay? Whatever your system produces. It's the same as if you consume power from the energy, except you're producing power from an energy company. So whatever that system dishes out that month, and it could be higher in the summer and it'll be lower in the winter. So you might have a $30 bill in the winter and then $120 bill in the summer. That's what a true PPA is all about. So the payment every month may vary, but the rate stays the same. And no matter how much you produce, it's not like the power company when they have tiers, right? You use a certain amount of power, and then you're in tier one, and then you use more power, and then the super user, and they get you. Not with solar. You have a fixed rate for all the power that you're going to get from that system, and it's fixed, but it may vary. Now, I'm not familiar with any PPAs that have that now. Earl, are you? Or they're all like fixed payments now, right?
I thought Sonova still did that because they have two. They have an easy PPA and a regular PPA. So easy PPA gives a fixed monthly payment, whereas if it's just PPA with Sonova, then it'll go up and down.
You're right.
But that's just with Sonova. I don't know how Sunrun and other ones do it. But yeah,
Yeah,
it should just go based on production, and that can get tricky with people. But then just
yeah.
average, telling them we're just averaging it out. We averaged it out with your utility bill. It came out to $300 a month on average. And then we average it out with the solar system. Your average payment comes out to this.
Yep, it adds another layer of complication on selling a PPA when you have to explain, okay, this month you're going to pay this much, maybe. you
Yeah,
know,
right,
it's just
right,
we try to stay away from
yeah,
the traditional PPA. There
right,
are fixed PPAs or what are they called? Level pay plans now. The easy,
right.
the easy PPA. So Sunrun has it. Sonova also has that option. So I mean, we'll just translate it into a monthly payment. It's easier for people to digest. Now,
Yeah,
a PPA typically does not offer a buyout. Okay, so that's one of the main differences between a lease and PPA is that you can't buy out a PPA unless you sell the home and the new buyer doesn't want to assume that agreement. Then they have to buy out the entire term. Then it's like it's a bad deal. So yeah, that's PPA in a nutshell. PPAs on average, you can sell them between 14 and 17 cents. Some people go higher, some go lower. It just really depends. I'm just giving you guys the average, right? You can roll in main panel upgrades. You can roll in partial roofs. I haven't gotten away with doing a full re-roof with the PPA yet because the rate goes up to like 24 or 25 cents, and that's just a bad deal. I wouldn't do that to my customers. Or maybe if they pay 40 cents, then yes, it's still a screaming deal if you ask me. But
Yeah.
Elise, you want to go ahead and
Similar to PPA, but features a levelized payment. So lease will offer that payment, this thing staying the same throughout the year, and typically does offer out buyout terms. And my guess is I don't do leases much, but my guess is it's every 5 years you get a buyout option, or if you when you sell the home. So every 5 years there should be a scale in the contract like they used to with PPAs, where it shows you the cost of the system at year one, and then it depreciates year after year, giving you the price at year 5, year 10, 15, 20. So you can prepare for that to buy it out.
now that's this is actually a really cool feature, the buyout, because there are going to be some customers that maybe they want to refinance in the next couple of years and they don't want to buy solar. So you tell them, well, lease it and then you can buy it out in 5 years. You'll buy it out at fair market value. Fair market value, guys. What is fair market value? What is fair market value to you after 5 years, Earl?
I mean, what they believe the system is going to be worth at that point.
Minus the,
Minus the tax credit and the company depreciating it, and getting all the incentives out of it. That's why you have to wait the 5 years.
so here's like a spoiler, a key feature about third party finance companies, leasing companies. They're in it for the tax incentives, like big time, man.
Yeah.
They collect about 50% of the cost of that lease, which can be valued at around $7 or $8 a watt. Okay, so they actually recover about 50% of that. So like $4 a watt just in incentives. So they're raking in that money for the first 5 years. They're taking all the benefits. I mean, I don't coin me exact figures, but this is what it is. And so for the first 5 years, they're taking half of the cost of the system plus 5 years worth of payments plus inflation. And then after 5 years, they're just like, yeah, I got this big old bag. And then the customer's like, well, I want to buy it. Fuck yeah, go ahead, dude. I don't care. I made my money. I want this headache off my books. So that's why they wait 5 years to do the buyout, because they want to collect all the incentives, and then they're like, all right, we'll give you the option. You want to buy it? It's fair market value, and then they have to have it appraised at that time. And so, well, we don't know exactly what that value is, but I guess you can strike a good deal. It's not a bad deal, and you'll get that customer that doesn't want to buy today, or they don't qualify for a loan because it's DTI or whatever. You just buy it in 5 years. Whenever you get your credit better, you just borrow some money from whatever and then pay it off. You're good, or refinance your house and then just pay it off. So this is where a lease kind of gets it gets useful. A PPL. So this is a really really underrated product. Super underrated. Give it to him, Earl.
Yeah. So offer an option to purchase all the energy upfront at a discounted rate, eliminates paying inflation. So they'll estimate how much power the system is supposed to produce, could produce, or will produce over 25 years, and then give you a cost of that system based on how much power it is going to produce on your rooftop.
Now this is very fair. I mean, 6 cents per power, 9 cents right now, is insanely good. If you have a cash buyer, like we have a cash buyer today, who's a little bit older. He's got some money saved out, and somebody might come to him with a purchase, and if he doesn't qualify for tax incentives, so $27,000 minus the tax incentives is 20 grand, and somebody's going to want to sell him a $27,000 contract. But if you come around and offer him a prepaid at 18 or 19,000, guess who gets the deal? Because you're already telling them what is the con of or the pro. One of the pros of doing this, I think we're actually going to mention that. Let's get into that. The pros and cons of doing a prepaid lease is that, hey, you already get the tax credit discounted off the top. There you go. That's why you're paying 6 to 9 cents versus 14 to 17 cents plus 2.9%. Right. So if you got that person that's like, oh, yeah, you have the option to do this versus that. I mean, I got some money. Let's just do it now. Boom, pay it all down. And they have a 25-year service plan, paid out, insured, fully insured, system maintenance included, and they paid pennies on the dollar. Literally. Keywords to selling a TPO, because we have those as well.
Solar as a service. Yeah, definitely like using that. Telling people you already have a service provider for your electricity for your home. We're another company, just like them, but a lot cheaper. And let me show you why. Effectively switching from another company to another, which offers guaranteed savings, environmental benefits, along with zero out of pocket costs. So, yeah, telling them they can keep the money they're currently paying and then just pay less to do the same exact thing, and then we take care of everything for them. It always sounds too good to be true for people, but then when you break it down, it makes a lot of sense for people.
Yep. Yeah. I like to use this weird analogy where it's like, okay, let's say you have an iPhone 7. And you're paying AT&T, $100 a month for your service. Now, here comes another better provider, sustainable. I guess that's not the right analogy, but yeah. Okay, let's say you have another cell phone company that wants to give you a phone, an iPhone 13. Man, it's just not the same technology though. Doesn't work. But hey, if I give you a free phone and I charge you $50 instead of 100, would you go with me? That's pretty much it, right?
Yeah.
I like to actually compare phone companies like Pacific Bell back in the day when they had the phone connected to the wall. Like, hey, if I give you a cell phone and charge you half, what do you say? And I'm not going to charge you for like long distance calling and all this other crap. Just get unlimited power. What's up? Like, bam, you're gonna move on over, right? That's the analogy I was looking for. So you can
Um,
actually.
yeah. There's a couple that I've heard and I've used. One is the gas one. Hey, you remember gas prices 25 years ago was about $1, 20 cents. Someone came to you, said, "Hey, we just opened up a gas station right down the street from your house. If you use our gas, we're going to give you $1 per gallon. So save you 20 cents a gallon. But the other benefit is it's not going to go up in price, or it's locked in so that in 25 years you're still going to be paying $1 for gas. So today, instead of paying $5 a gallon, you'd be paying $1 per gallon. It's the same thing with electricity. And then the other one I heard was that, imagine, because the sun is hitting their roof all day here in California, so they're getting plenty of energy, but they have nothing to to use the energy, so it's just being wasted. And so it's similar to if you had oil on your property. You can't do anything with the oil unless you get a pump and all the equipment, but you don't have money for the equipment. So we're going to provide the equipment for you to extract that oil, turn it into gas, and then you can come pump gas at our gas station anytime you want at a fixed rate because we're using your property to get that gas. And now you get to keep that gas at a fixed rate. Same thing with electricity. We're going to use the sun rays that are hitting your roof every single day, turn it into energy, and then you get to buy it at a much cheaper price. Publicly traded service providers.
All right, sorry about that. My mute button was stuck.
Worries.
This is part of the keywords. Why do I like to use this as a keyword? Because now when you're selling when you're selling a service to someone, um, you can throw big names out there, right? You can throw Costco, Home Depot. You can, like, hey, Sunrun is trusted by Costco. Do you trust Costco? I mean, most people do, man. Maybe everybody loves Costco because they have good quality products. They have a zero hassle return policy, and just it's just they've earned that trust over the years with people. So having Sunrun inside Costco is a big selling ticket for leases and PPAs because now you have a publicly traded company backing up your pitch, right? So you can literally say, all right, so SDG&E, right? Are they publicly traded? Not really, but also they don't cover, the entire United States like Sunrun does. Why do you think they're growing so fast? Why do you think the government's throwing all this money at it, right? Because it's working, because people love it, because it's doing that. So I think, go check them out. Like they're doing pretty good. It's not a mom and pop shop around the corner that could go out of business any moment. I mean, they could go out of business, but it's going to be tough at this point. They're stacked up pretty high right now. So that's why I like to use that as like, hey, look, you're dealing with a service that is a publicly traded company. Now, obviously, there's going to be some terrible reviews online because when you're such a big company, you're going to have so many service contracts, but there's going to be a few out there that are just going to be really pissed off because they can't get to somebody so fast, or something just isn't going their way, and so the first thing they're going to do is go complain. So I mean, but out of the one person that complains, they still have 1,000 customers who are super happy, and then they're like, "Oh shit, you got nothing from me." They're not going to go out of their way to go say, "Oh my god, I'm so happy!" Like, people just typically like to complain. That's what reviews are for. But um, okay, so publicly traded company. Oh, here we go. I just talked about all this. So yeah, throw out names like Costco, Home Depot, Toyota, Apple, Tesla, like the White House. Even I think they did some power. So oh, no, that was a very abrupt thanks. Before we go anywhere, just to kind of end this, I'm just gonna tell you guys at the end of this, we're gonna edit the video. We're gonna put in some nice little little key points and stuff like that in the YouTube, so you can go and reference any of these like little topics. You can go in there and search in the description of the YouTube channel. You can search a topic and go right to it and listen to it. You don't have to listen to the entire, what is it, hour and a half video now. But and then you're also going to get this summary, the summary PDF, so you keep it and have all of our trainings available to you as network providers, or as network partners, I should say. You have access to all of these things. So, um, saying that said, if anybody has any questions, now is the time to bring them up, and I'm going to let Earl kind of give you guys his last, kind of words. And I want to thank you definitely for coming in. Oh wait. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Before I forget, SolarCon. Who's going? Are you going? I'm sure you're going, man.
Oh yeah, I'll be there
So
for sure.
so we have two platinum VIP tickets. Okay, that's you. If you're gonna go platinum. We're gonna be hosting a giveaway on Instagram. It's already there. So go to our Instagram at One Up Solar, and you'll see you just have to share, and tag a couple of pros and stuff like that, and it'll put you in there in the drawing to earn those passes. They're worth $1,500, so definitely, if you guys are in solar, man, you're gonna have to go there because this event is like picking up so much momentum, and a lot of the big players, like the nuanced players, are going to be there, and you're just going to rub elbows with all the coolest people in the industry, including myself and Earl. Gratitude first, right? I mean, not myself. I'm last. But and then some of my team members will be there, and a lot of cool people. The Solar Academy was kind enough to, you know, to sponsor those tickets for us, because we're partners. We actually like to refer people over onto them. They have a really good, training curriculum, because you want to get some really really in-depth training on how to build a solar business. A lot of coaching. It's one-on-one coaching on the next level. Like Jake Hess and Joe Malsacchio are some of the coolest guys on the planet that I know. And yeah, so Earl's going to be there. Really excited to finally hang out with you in person.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be exciting to meet everybody in the industry as well. Yeah, it's gonna be a good event. So make sure you guys go if you guys can make it. It's only gonna help you a lot to be in one place where all these people that have been doing it for years on end, from CEOs to installers to all these different types of people. You're gonna gain tons of knowledge. And as for today's training, I always the way I like to approach it is always just go in there and ask a lot of questions that will help you figure out which program is going to be best for them. But at the same time, at the end, they're going to choose which one they want, even though you might feel like a cap loan is better than a lease. If they want a lease, give them the lease, right? At the end of the day, it's what they want. Just make sure, like Manny said, you're going over the pros and cons of each program, and then kind of asking them questions as to which one do you like better. Based on the pros and cons we went over, which one do you think is best for you? And a lot of times they'll choose the one that you're thinking already, and you say, "Yeah, I agree. I agree that because of this, and this, and that, this would probably be better for your situation." Right? And so at the end of the day, you're there to serve them and help them make the best decision based on the information you provide to them.
Guys, and if you guys don't follow Earl, go do so. He's Mr. underscore Capule at Instagram. He posts a lot of cool stuff. I mean, I know I've read some of his stuff, and it gets me thinking. Like sometimes I just need these positive, these positive notes and these positive comments, and it just makes me see things in a different perspective. And he's got a lot of followers that are really I guess interactive with his posts and stuff like that. So I liked it. I enjoy it. You're very entertaining with that kind of stuff, and um, I appreciate what you do, and that you have that gratitude mindset. Like I think all of us should practice it definitely. And I want to thank you for coming on such short notice. I mean, I asked him yesterday, man. Like he jumped on. I'm like, awesome, dude. This is great. I do have to get better at giving ourselves time to do these things. But anyway, thanks
No
for
problem,
for
Manny.
taking time out of your busy schedule to help us out. And um, Earl is probably going to be on board with us as a mentor. So we're just kind of finishing up some details there. But once we're ready with that, he'll be in our group as a mentor. So we'll be assigning him to help you guys with your deals and stuff like I did with our rep this morning with Lyle, helped him close his first deal. And it was so easy, man. I was like, what? What? I mean, I was kind of impressed, but yeah, man. I mean, there's so many people out there. There's a huge demand. Solar exclusive. Rich and his team are doing a phenomenal job generating like these YouTube opportunities and stuff like that. They're just like laydowns, dude. So definitely work through the program, guys. Come to the trainings, and if you guys ever need any help, just reach out to us or Earl, and we'll help you out.
Cool. Thanks, Manny.
Yep, no problem. John, go ahead.
Can I have some one-on-one time with you after the meeting here?
Yeah. We'll get on a call right now. All right, guys. You guys have any other questions? So we can close down this meeting. You guys are going to you're going to get the recording, and you guys are going to get the copy of this presentation that we had. It's on Keynote, but we'll send it to you in a PDF so you have it. And study it. Any questions, guys? Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate you being here. And next week, I don't know what we have next week yet, but it'll be a good one. It'll be a good one for sure. All right, guys. Well, without further ado, have a great weekend. I don't have a saying yet. I have to have one of those sayings where you say goodbye, but for now, it's just peace. Take care. And meeting for all.